Awesome. All right, guys, we are going to start in about 2 minutes here. Give some people some time to log on, and we will get started shortly. I'm going to put myself on mute, and we'll get going in a second. All righty, let's get started. As people roll in, they can chime in. Either way, the recording will be sent to them. So let's get going. So I'm super excited to have you guys here. The goal is to add as much value as possible. Now, what I will say before we actually dive in is typically I get my energy from seeing someone and conversing with someone. So these webinars tend to be a little weird for me. So we do have a couple polls that we're going to have you guys go through that will help with some dialogue, or not dialogue, but some information on exactly what you guys are utilizing for LinkedIn and stuff like that. So Alex and John, you guys are on right now. So I'm going to launch a poll. Really, it's just to figure out how often you use LinkedIn and how many connection requests you tend to send out. So I'm going to use this at the I'm going to use this for right now and let you guys go and take that poll real quick.
And should we be unmuted or muted?
Muted for right now, please. Thanks for asking. Awesome. So a few times per month, once a week, almost daily, typically 1 to 2. Okay, cool. So we are going to 100% change that. So those are the results quickly, and I will share with you why that is something that we're going to want to change. So again, welcome to the Financial Advisors Alliance training series. Today we're learning about how to leverage LinkedIn to build your financial planning business. We're going to go through some practical stuff that you guys can implement right away. I promise you that it will work. It's just a matter of doing it. So let's dive right in. So the things that you're going to learn today, first and foremost, you're going to learn how exactly to make your request stand out from everyone else. On top of that, how to make sure that you're actually leading with value in order to cultivate that genuine audience. From there, don't think that you're just going to be living online, right? We're going to figure out, okay, how can we take these online resources, implement them in a client meeting, and ultimately with these different strategies that you're learning, be able to get 5 to 10 new qualified leads per day. Now, with that being said, don't think that those 5 to 10 qualified leads are just, connections of yours. These are people that, are going to be people that are either reaching out to you or that you're able to reach out to and book an appointment with. Okay, so those are the things that you're going to learn. Before we dive in, though, I just want to make sure that you know who this is not for. So if you're looking for a quick fix, this isn't for you. You got to be in it for the long term, right? These aren't people. This isn't for people who are looking for that short-term edge or some short-term money or anything like that. If you're not consistent, this will not work. And if you approach this in a selfless mindset rather than a selfless mindset, again, it will not work, because whether you believe it or not, when you walk around selfish, like, people notice that. They know when you're, not doing it in their best interest. So just make sure to be cognizant of that. Real quick, I think it's important to share with you a little bit about my story. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Basically, I've been an advisor for 7 years. And over that 7-year period, I spent 5 years coaching our new advisors in the business. And it was over that period of time where out of our 350 offices, they measure us in terms of production and client acquisition and things like that. And we were ranked like number 300 in the country. We weren't even on the map. And I took that program over in that first year. We made a ton of progress, and we finished at the same spot, 300. So I'm joking. We didn't make a ton of progress. I wasn't a good coach. I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I was 23 at the time. So, just do the math. It's difficult to lead when you haven't figured out your own stuff. So I spent the next 4 years focusing very much so on personal development, leadership development, cultivating my own coaching style and being myself. And over that 4-year period of development, after that first year, our team this past year had done an awesome job. Over the last 11 months before I left, I didn't stay long enough to round out the fiscal year, but over the last 11 months, we spent 4 of those months, third in the country, and we spent 7 of those months seventh in the country. 7 of those months first in the country. Sorry about that. So we made a ton of progress, and it was through that process that I really fell in love with coaching. However, I didn't want to be limited to one firm in terms of people that I could help. So I decided to leave Northwestern, where I was, and start a coaching practice, which is where we're at today. So thanks for listening. So first and foremost, let's figure out how to make your request stand out. Before we do that, let's figure out, okay, well, what does the current process look like? By the way, I'm not trying to be here, on this side of the computer, on my high horse. These are all things that I've learned from messing up myself. Okay. So all these things are things that I have done bad and that now I do much better. So the current process is very disingenuous, right? It's self-focused. It's trying to find someone and figuring out, okay, what can they do for my business? It's all about me. Sometimes we're sending out just irrelevant connections. It's like we have no actual connection with them. No one introduced us. They're not even in our target market. We know nothing about them. There's no shared interest or shared, schooling or past jobs or anything like that. And we don't add any value because every request that we send out is the same, right? And it's right there at the bottom. It says, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. How impersonal is that, right? And that's where the opportunity lies, right? The opportunity lies is within doing something different than what everyone else is doing. It's literally as simple as that, okay? So let's go through what that looks like. First and foremost, add a personal message because no one does it. I'm going to share with you what that message should entail, right? So add a personal message. No one does it. You will stand out if you add a personal message, period. Make them aware of who you are and what you do, right? So you want to be straight and to the point. Figure out how you can add value to them and ultimately give them a reason to respond. Don't allow it to fall on deaf ears, okay? So let's go through what that looks like. So real life example. These are just screenshots from my own personal LinkedIn. So part of the reason why some of you guys are on this call is because I reached out to you on LinkedIn. So if that's not proof that this works, I don't know what is. So it says, hey, Jared, I recently left NM to start a new age training, coaching, and consulting company for advisors. I'm pushing out daily content for free and believe it could be an invaluable resource for you and other advisors in your office. If you'd be open to it, I'd love to chat more. Cheers, David. So what I did is I shared with them exactly what I do. I showed them the value that I could provide, which is the daily free content. And I tried to trigger a response, which is, asking them if they want to chat more. Now, this person in particular did not respond. So after a day, I reached back out and I said, happy whatever day it is. Okay, so it's relevant. I wanted to go ahead and include the link to our exclusive Facebook group for advisors. We're pumping out valuable and practical content for free on a daily basis and hope some of it helps you. I wanted to invite you to join our movement. Hope to see you on the other side. I include the link and then I said, finish the week strong. So what I did here is I said, hey, I'm inviting you to this group anyways. I reminded them what it is. I reminded them that it was free. And I created some curiosity, right? So I said, I wanted to invite you to join the movement. Hope to see you on the other side, ... right? As subtle as that is, that creates curiosity. And some of you guys are probably smirking on the other end because it's literally the exact message that I sent you. And again, you're here on this webinar, so it worked. Jared still did not respond. But throughout the past couple weeks, I've been doing two things. I've been creating content via articles and I've been creating content via videos to the point where one of my buddies hit me up, okay, that's in my group chat with me yesterday, literally at 9:27 a.m., I remember it, and said, every time I log on LinkedIn, I see Dave, right? That's the point. You want to be relevant, right? You want to be in front of people and serving as the authority so that when they decide that they're ready for whatever it is that you do, in this case, financial advisor, they think of you first. Okay, so I posted a video inviting people to a webinar. And this person in particular gave me his email address. That's why it's scratched out. Not sure which time yet. I have meetings on both those times, right? But basically said he was interested in the webinar. Okay? So that's example number one. Example number two, the same message. I did change the last sentence though. It says, if you'd like access, let me know and I'll shoot you over the link. Okay? This person ended up responding right away. Hey, David, thanks for reaching out. Would love to connect and talk over the phone sometime. Thanks for offering free content. I'll absolutely check it out. Okay? So I didn't even ask for a phone call. And this is someone who I spoke with 2 days ago. I didn't even ask for a phone call. Okay? And they did because they saw value in what it is that I was doing. So I sent them the Facebook link. And I also said, I'm happy to chat on the phone. And I sent them my calendar link, which total side note. But if you guys are not using Calendly or another calendar service, I would highly recommend that you do it. So if we go back here, this person said that they keep about 60% of their meetings. For me, I was the same way. I kept between 50 and 60% of my meetings when I was scheduling them on my own. Now, since I've started using Calendly, what I do is I send a link. They get the link. If they are interested, they'll click on it. They then have to click another few times on the website, okay? And they have to confirm on their calendar that it works. They have to type in their information. They get a confirmation, and then they get a reminder before the actual event, right, or that phone call. My made to kept ratio is up over 90% since I started using this because they're only going to go through that process if they actually want to meet. And don't we really only want to put people on our calendar that actually want to meet, right? So I would highly recommend that you guys implement that. There's a free version, and even the paid version is like $8 a month, so you won't even notice it come out of your account. But it would be awesome to implement. Real life example number 3, same messages, but no response whatsoever. Okay, I don't want you to think that everyone's responding to these because they're not. It's a numbers game. It's an input output game, which we'll go through in a second, right? So. But this person whose name is Mark, as you can see the way that it's addressed, okay, this person, Mark, is going to see my face. They're going to see my content every single day they log in on LinkedIn. And eventually, when they are ready to join the movement, when they are ready to learn, who do you think they're going to go to? Do you think they're going to go to Google and try and find a coach? Do you think they're going to go, on and click on a Facebook ad for some random coach? Or do you think they're going to go to the person who's been adding value day in and day out, over and over and over and over again. Right? I'll let you guys decide. So again, it's a numbers game. Okay. So what I've found is I've done, and these are just my personal messages, right? Or my personal scenario. This isn't, studies that I found online. This isn't, someone else's, massive pile of data. This is just my personal experience. Excuse me. So take it for what it is. But I get over 60% accepted on a daily basis. I started off sending out 100 requests per day, where they looked like they were personal messages, but I just really changed out the names, so it didn't take all that long. Then I moved up to 200. And then my busiest day, which was this past Wednesday, actually, I had 12 meetings on. I want to say 8 of them I didn't even book myself. They were just put on my calendar. Okay. I decided that, you know what, screw it. I had a lot of momentum and motivation. I figured, hey, this is a busy day. Let's make it even better. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. I sent out 400 LinkedIn messages. I was done by 7:45. And then I went about my day. 60% of those people accept. Okay. Compared to, again, broad strokes, between 15 and 25% with an impersonal message. Now, going back to the input, about 10% of my overall outreaches, okay, over time result in a phone call. So the reason why I say over time, and let me rephrase that, result in a phone call / joining my Facebook group. Okay. And again, it's over time. Like if I send out 400 messages, I don't have 40 phone calls scheduled on my calendar. It's between phone calls and Facebook group members compared to just, barely anything before, right? I'd be shocked if anyone, including myself, when I, was only sending out 1 or 2 connections per day, I'd be shocked if any of us really get anything out of LinkedIn or utilize it correctly, because I know I wasn't, right, in the past. Now, here's the deal. In order to cultivate a genuine audience, you can't go in for the ask immediately, right? Let them come to you. So now you have to figure out, okay, well, how do we get them to come to us? First and foremost, you have to know who your audience is, right? Are you serving doctors? Are you serving pharmacists? Are you serving lawyers, farmers, salespeople, whatever it may be, okay? And you have to research that audience. Try and understand how you can add ancillary value, right? And if you don't know how you can add ancillary value, and when I say ancillary, what I mean is value that you can add that you don't get compensated on, okay? Because that's when the value becomes genuine, at least in their eyes, right? Because you may be adding value in a financial planning capacity that's genuine, but they may not see it that way. So if you don't know what that value is, ask. Right? Interview some people in that industry. Say that you want to learn more about behind the scenes stuff that they go through and that they like to learn about, so that you can provide that for your audience. From there, you have to go and find, right? You have to find relevant articles, videos, stats, right? And share them with that audience. Or even better, create your own, right? Create a video, which we'll get to in a second, right? Create some articles, right? Just make sure that they are relevant. Because what happens is, and I'll use pharmacists as an example, because I built a lot of my business around pharmacists, where I would run seminars and webinars for alumni from the Mass College of Pharmacy, and I would speak there every semester, run a webinar every semester, and I would literally finish that webinar and have a bunch of meetings on my calendar. Okay? Now, what did I talk about? I talked about a few main things. Number 1, I talked about budgeting. Number 2, I talked about managing student loans and refinancing. Number 3, okay, I talked about salary negotiations. And number 4, I focused on the good, bad, and the ugly of working in the clinical space, the retail space, and the industry space, right? So not only do they know what I do on a professional basis, but I am viewed, or when I was doing that, I was viewed as an expert in their industry, right? Because I would say and lead with, hey, I work with a ton of your peers. I know the good, bad, and the ugly, right? I know what they're going with their student loans. I know what they're struggling with budgeting, right? I know where their salaries are, right? I'm like their inside guy, and all that ancillary value, or because of all that ancillary value, right, they come to me, right? And when they get so much value in those areas, why would they think they would get anything less in a financial planning capacity, right? So I'm going to exit out of this for a second. I want to bring you to LinkedIn quickly, and bring you over here where it says Sales Navigator. If you don't have Sales Navigator, you need to get it. It's kind of a non-negotiable here. Depending on if you pay it annually or monthly, you're looking at $69 to $79 a month or something like that. Pharmacist. So let's say you're interested in meeting with pharmacists. And let's say your practice is national. So we're actually going to scroll down at the bottom. Click view filters. And national, so you say United States. Relationship, second connections, and really third connections. Let's say they're English speaking. Industry, pharmaceuticals. Retail, that's like CVS. Hospitals, whatever. Let's say you want to target people 6 to 10 years out. Okay, then you click search. So I just found over 6,000 results. Okay, so now I can come over, click these 3 little buttons, click connect, get rid of this stupid message, paste in whatever message it is where you tell them what you do, the value that you lead with, and some sort of reason for them to respond. You go back up to the top and you put in their name, so it's personal. You click send invitation. And then you go down to Kim, you do the same thing. You go down to Mary, you do the same thing over and over and over and over again. Now, you can either wake up early and do it. You can stay up later and do it. You can have your associate do it. Okay. Really, however you see fit. But again, it's an input and output game. Okay. The more you put into it, the more you're ultimately going to get out of it. Here's something that's pretty cool that will not last forever. So please pay attention here and make sure to take action on this immediately, because this opportunity will not be here for that long. And it's not like this opportunity that I'm offering. It's LinkedIn specifically. So LinkedIn, just want to get this out of the way. So LinkedIn, at the end of 2017, started to allow what's called native videos on their platform. Okay, so I'm going to answer what a native video is and why this even matters. So previously, LinkedIn only allowed you to share videos from, think of like YouTube or Vimeo. Basically, you post a link, it generates the image, you can click on it, but the video itself is actually hosted at those other platforms. A native video is a video that you can upload to LinkedIn and have LinkedIn host that. Okay, now why does that even matter? Well, the reason why it matters is because anytime a platform like that has a new feature, what happens is they favor that in their algorithm, right? They want more people to be aware of that feature. So play to that, right? And I'll show you an example. So I posted an article, and I want to say it was like April 18th or something like that. And it was about branding yourself as a financial advisor, which if you haven't read that, it's super helpful. So I would go over and take a look at that on my LinkedIn profile. Okay. But I want you to focus here. Okay. There was 411 views on my article. Okay. Not bad. Meaning 411 eyeballs, went through that. I posted a video. Right there. Okay. So I took this screenshot about midday yesterday. I posted this 2 days prior to the article, and it had almost 4,000 views. Okay. Now, those 4,000 views aren't going to result in 4,000 meetings or 4,000 customers or clients or whatever, but it's all about awareness, right? So I want to share a quick story with you with the importance of humanizing yourself, being relevant, and being in front of the people that you're trying to serve. So my last month in Northwestern, let me rephrase that. The last 6 to 8 weeks that I was with Northwestern, I focused on building a personal brand, specifically on Instagram and Facebook. And over that time period, it resulted in the last month that I was in there, walking away with over 10,000 in commissions, with people reaching out to me wanting to do business because it happened to be the right time. And I was the person that was relevant in that moment. Okay. So this works, guys. You just have to take action on it. You have to implement it. So I'd encourage you guys to do so. Okay. Let me get out of the annotate. Perfect. All right. Moving on. So let's figure out how to actually add value to your audience. So first and foremost, you want to make sure that you're continually making posts. So this goes back to the consistency piece that I mentioned at the beginning. If you're not consistent with this, this will not work. Now, let's say you're posting 10, things just over, call it 10 days. Maybe 2 of them have to do with financial planning, but the other one should have to do about their industry, right? What's relevant to them, right? But you still want to make them aware of what they're doing. So if it's, say, you work with sales professionals, right? Well, maybe it is, the best times to call your prospects. Maybe it's how to lead with value to your prospect. Maybe it's how to utilize LinkedIn like we're doing right now to cultivate an audience, right? Things that are relevant to them, right? Just be helpful, right? Just lead with value, right? Value, 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 value. Because when you lead with value, there's no selling involved. Like, people will come to you as the expert. They'll be grateful for what you've done, and they'll want to work with you. Okay? So that's how to live online, right? That's how to generate this stuff online. Let's talk about in person. So LinkedIn mining and feeder lists. We're going to go through feeder lists first and how to effectively use that in a client meeting. So a feeder list basically is a list of names, call it 5 to 10 names, that you are trying to get referred to during some meeting with a client. Now, how do you get the names on the list? Well, you want to focus on connectivity, right? Because if you're have the ability to choose who's on the list, right, and they're connected to over 1,000 people, there's a good chance they don't know everyone. So you want to focus on connectivity. So people that live in the same area, people that they went to school with, people that they work with, people that you can pretty much bet that they know, that are also in your target market, right? Because you have the opportunity to put on any names that you want. Make sure they're people that you're trying to go after, right? So if you're trying to go up market, don't put on someone that's in the market that you're in right now, right? Challenge yourself. Put someone else up there, right? You can literally pick whoever it is that you want to get referred to. Now, the language that I'm about to share with you is language that removes every objection and gives you permission to call each and every one of those people, right? So listen in. So when I was meeting with someone, right, I would share with them, right at the end of the meeting, hey, I've been doing some work with my business development team, and we've put together a game plan on reaching out to some people in the community. And as we were doing so, we actually noticed that you were connected to a handful of them. So I brought a list of them just so I could remember. I wanted to go through those with you and really figure out if you actually know them, and if so, what you could tell me about them that I wouldn't already know, and or if they're just random connections of yours, that would be helpful to know as well. And then you start going through that list. So what can you tell me about this person? What can you tell me about that person, right? And they may say, oh yeah, I know them really well, but they already have an advisor. And you say, awesome, thank you so much. That helps me a lot. I'll make sure to be super sensitive to that when I reach out, right? Because you already told them that you were planning on calling them. However, you noticed that they were connected, so you want to get additional information. And then as you go through those 10 names, maybe you find out that they know 4 of them really well. So then your next question is, awesome, it sounds like you know these 4 really well, but these 6 are just kind of some randos. And they'll chuckle and say, yeah, that's the case. You say, awesome. So I'll plan on, I'm gonna reach out to these people. But would you be able to just drop them a quick line and give them the heads up? That way I don't catch them off guard. It'll probably make it a little less weird, right? And then by doing that, you can now use their name when you call them. So, hey, it's David, friends of Chris, so on and so forth, whatever your phoning language is. And then you can choose whether or not to call those other 6 people that they didn't know. I tend not to because I don't like to do cold calling. But you can if you want. I would just not use their name because you didn't get permission to do so. The other way is you can manufacture referrals. So let's say you have a day where you have no meetings on your calendar whatsoever. Okay, how can you make that a productive day? Well, what if you sent out messages on LinkedIn, or if you sent out emails to people that you were already connected with to get personally endorsed to the people that they're connected with, right? And if you have nothing to do that day, you could probably bang out 15, 20 of those emails and generate a bunch of referrals. So here's what this looks like. So you would just simply say, hey, John, I noticed you were connected to Paul, Sarah, and Steve. I wasn't sure if you actually knew them or if they were just a random connection of yours. I was planning on introducing myself to them, but wanted to see what you could tell me about them that I wouldn't already know from their LinkedIn. Hope all is well with the family and that you had a great time in Disney. Right? Cheers, David. So let's dissect that a little bit. First and foremost, lead with what you want and end with well wishes. I feel personally that if you start off with, hey, John, hope all is well. Hope you had a great time with the family. And then you actually get into what you want. It just takes away it makes what you just said disingenuous when you then ask for what you really want. Whereas if you end with it, they remember that and it ends the email on a nice note. And I do that with all the emails I send out, not just this. So if I need something from a client, right, or a coaching client or whatever, I reach out to them and say, hey, so-and-so, I need X, Y, and Z. By the way, hope all is well, whatever the personal note is. I never include more than 3 names. If you want to get referred to these people, you can't put 10 names on email. It's too much work for them. But again, if you're sending out 10 of these, right, or 20 of these, you're sending out 30 or 60 potential referrals that when you hear back, let's say you get 25% of them, right? That's a decent number, right? And again, focus on connectivity, because out of their 1,000 connections, you're only putting 3 names on there. So don't just focus on Mr. and Mrs. Big if there's no connection whatsoever. Maybe they just connected with them so that maybe they could meet them one day or do business with them, right? So make sure you're focusing on connectivity to maximize the opportunity. But again, it goes back to input and output, right? This works if you do the work, right? So for those of you who had answered the poll initially saying that, you log in every now and again, you send out maybe 1 or 2 requests, that's just it. You don't have enough data or input for it to work. Once you start it, you got to be consistent, right? You don't want to be the person that pushes out a bunch of content and people love it and then you stop, right? And for those of you who are thinking, well, how do I get around the compliance aspect of that content? Of course, put everything through compliance, but the reason why you're able to get around it is because you're not talking about financial planning, right? You're talking about their industries, right? You're talking about their industries. If you say, hey, I'm too busy during the day, well, you can choose to either wake up early, go to bed later, maybe have your staff help. And at the end of the day, if you want to be successful just in general, you have to fall in love with the monotony of the process of getting there. And that's just not, talking about sending out LinkedIn requests. That's what is your daily routine like, right? Is it repetitive, right? The less you can think about what you need to do, the more effective you can be when you actually do it. So I'd encourage you guys to definitely fall in love with that process. Okay. So I know there was a lot of information in there. I hope you guys found it to be super helpful. As a quick thank you, and please stay on the line just for another couple minutes. If you're not already a part of the Facebook group, there's the link right there. Chris, actually, if you're in here, can you please put those links in the chat box? Awesome. He's doing that right now. If you have questions, that's my calendar link. It's for a 15-minute call. Feel free to schedule some time with me. I am more than happy to answer questions that have stemmed from this presentation or really anything that you guys have. Feedback, please open up your text messages right now and type in my phone number that Chris just typed in. And just shoot me a text, good, bad, or indifferent, what you thought of the webinar. That would be super, super helpful for me, and I would really appreciate that. For additional content and to be able to get an idea of what my daily routine looks like, connect with me on Instagram. It's just David_DeCell. And if you're interested to learn more about our coaching program and how we can help you live to your full potential, feel free to go to the website at daviddecell.com/contact. If you scroll down to the bottom, there is a coaching application that you can feel free to fill out. And once we review that, we'll see if it could be potentially a good fit. And if so, we'll figure out what that relationship looks like. But for those of you who are able to attend, thank you so much for paying attention and watching. If you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the Facebook group, and I will look forward to continuing to build a relationship with you. And that's all I got. So have a good rest of your Friday. Thanks for spending this Friday with me. Hopefully you were able to steal some of my energy, and enjoy the weekend. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, David.
You got it. See ya.